Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Conscious Relationships. I'm Dhwani. Hope you all are doing lovely and hope you all had a beautiful Valentine's Day. It's the love season, huh? Today, I'm going to share with you something about breaking down belief systems and finding your true self. Start living as if you don't know how to live. Nobody is there to teach you. No guidelines exist. No books exist which say how to do this, how to do that. You're just left alone on an island. Everything is available. Intelligence is within you. Instinct is within you. Intellect is within you. Now start moving. Whether we realize it or not, our entire identity is formed from the relationships we have with the world around us. In fact, our perception that we even exist at all is dependent upon these relationships to people, places, and things in order to survive. For example, in relation to a tree, I'm a human. In relation to that man, I'm a daughter. In relation to that child, I'm a mom. In relation to that lady, I'm a friend. In relation to this dog, I'm its owner, etc. Our whole existence comes from who or what we are in relation to the things around us. With each one of these relationships comes a different personality. We have the personality when we are with our family. We have the personality when we are with our pet. We have our friend personality. We have our work personality. And we even have the personality of the voice in our head that is commentating on everything. Going even further down the rabbit hole, within each one of these personalities, we have preconceived notions about the way we should behave, the way others should behave, and the way life in general should go. The friend personality had its belief of what it means to be a friend. The employee personality behaves in accordance with its ideas about what it means to be an employee. The spouse personality has its own set of rules and regulations on what it means to be a spouse, and so on and so forth. With all these different ideas or belief systems and relationships that make up who we are, or at least who we think we are, how do we find out who we really are? How do we go about breaking down relationships into labels, down to personalities, down to belief systems, all the way down to our lowest common denominator? As long as you have certain desires about how it ought to be, you can't see how it is. Before we can break ourselves down to this level, we must first ask ourselves, what is our lowest common denominator? The lowest common denominator is us at our first level, our most authentic self. It is a part of us that has not one concept or preconceived anything about anything. It has no thoughts, beliefs, ideas, or judgments of how we should behave or of how others should behave, because it exists prior to all labels and concepts of what is right, wrong, acceptable, or unacceptable. It can never be upset or offended because it has no prior idea of how things should happen or how people should act. It is our pure consciousness. It is the awareness that literally is the observer of all the different personalities that show up in our day-to-day existence. Our lowest common denominator experiences life as it is in the present moment. When we become in touch with our lowest common denominator, we experience life as it is. We experience people and relationships as they are without getting caught up in the labels in our head of what we believe someone should be acting like. One would dare to say it is only when we get in touch with our lowest common denominator that we are actually truly living. Because when we are not in touch with this pure awareness, we're still operating from our thoughts about a situation instead of the situation itself. To always be in our thoughts is to constantly be judging, which means we are not present. The less we are truly present and living in the moment, the less we are experiencing life in its most authentic form. So now that we know what it is, the question still remains, how do we find and connect with this part of ourselves? When there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. In order to break down all our beliefs about life and people and become completely anchored in our field of pure awareness, we must turn our attention inward. I am slowly peeling off the many layers of me to find myself. Once we become focused on what is going on inside of us, we are then able to confront every judgment, criticism, belief, and idea head on. It is only in this confrontation of ourselves that we are able to realize that every single one of our judgments of good, bad, right, wrong, acceptable, unacceptable is based on prior programming, which stems from how we were raised or where we grew up or what books we read, etc. However, our lowest common denominator exists prior to this programming. So whenever we find ourselves placing judgment on others or on the world, we can be assured that we are not operating from our lowest common denominator or our authentic self. We must literally always point the finger back at ourselves anytime we find ourselves becoming frustrated, angry, offended, because these emotions are always indicative that there is a preconceived belief of the way things should be that is being triggered. Once we become willing to confront these beliefs, we are able to connect with a stream of inner stillness and silence that allows our authentic self to emerge. Operating from our lowest common denominator won't always be easy and will definitely take practice at first, especially for those of us who have become very attached to all of their ideas of who they think they are or should be. But when we are brave enough to confront ourselves and question every single belief down to the point that the false self cannot come up with even one more lie to try and make us believe in its validity, we are on the path to our authentic self. Our authentic self gets to experience the present moment in its purest form. It gets to experience people and situations in their most raw and genuine way, the way they truly are, before our thoughts step in with all their judgments and commentary on a situation. When we start living this way, we see the world through brand new eyes, through the eyes of a person who has no prior knowledge or judgment on anything, which means we start to live through our feelings and instincts, and consequently, the world becomes new and exciting all over again. That was all for today. Have a good time, and you can comment if you like, and like, subscribe, and share if you find yourself inclined or interested in such topics. Goodbye for now. Much love.